right, we're rolling.
With JCB Live, the Minority Wine Report. I'm Thaddeus Bugs, and the podcast Wine in Black and White. JCB, again, the third time. One time it got caught, it ended up on the cutting room floor, right?
That's right.
Okay, so we and the second time Dylan turned out really well. And now this is the third time and you're not in control. Okay, so let's pop it and let's get it going.
I'm listening to orders. Dear friends, the master is here. We're here in Napa Valley, and I'm with the king, my Secret Service king. I'm excited. So I may lose an eye. I still have it, so I'll pump the cork as we go. We ready? Thaddeus.
Yeah. Oh, don't hit Dylan. Don't hit Dylan.
We did it. Yeah, baby. So, dear friends, what we just did is what Thaddeus does every morning before he brushes his teeth.
This is my favorite beverage in the world. What's your favorite beverage?
I would say me too. But with or without bubble, it's my favorite. So my favorite beverage, I would answer as the fermented grapes. Whether they become bubbles, they become white, they become black, they become rosé, they become all colors. I'm a fan of the fermented grapes.
Okay, but Jean-Charles, if you had to open up one bottle, think about it for a minute, what would you open?
Pinot Noir.
I know from too. Domaine du
La Bourgeois. I must confess, I was 7 years old and I did not yet like Pinot. Can you believe how much of a sacrilege it is?
7 years old and you didn't like Pinot?
I was born making wine in the winery.
All right. We're going to digress for a minute because I don't know about you, but I kind of grew up in the hood a little bit, and I didn't know what Pinot was, okay?
Well, I grew up in the wood. I did not know what bourbon was, what whiskey was.
Okay, I got you.
In the hood of grapes.
Okay, so where did you grow up at?
Vougeot, Burgundy. So Vougeot is a tiny village, Thaddeus, of 186 people. Okay. It's in the hood. Yes. It's in the middle of nowhere. And the only thing there is grapes.
Okay.
So, you basically play. Your garden is the row of grapes. It happens to be the best grape in the world, Clos Vougeot. It's not too bad. But, you got to realize every hood being different. It's 3 hours from Paris in the center east of France. Mm-hmm. You don't have a lot of people. You have a lot of grapes, and everybody makes wine. And that's where I grew up.
Okay, so talk to us about your mom and dad. And maybe even the grandparents before your mom and dad.
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
So, well, my mom, amazing lady, of course, still around, and she's going to see this amazing show with you.
Okay.
Because she's seen
Hello,
yours.
Mom.
Yes.
Cheers.
Claudine. This is the sexy Thaddeus. You find him very attractive. My mother said, one, he's attractive. Two, he's charming. When is he coming to Burgundy?
I love Burgundy, Mom. Anytime. I'm good.
So my mother confessed when she was pregnant, it was 1969.
And 69, and you call this number 69.
In honor of my mother, of course.
But 69 can mean a lot of things.
Well, I guess so.
Let's digress and go back to your mom, okay?
I know you know a lot more about anatomy than I do. And he's more flexible than I am. So she confessed to me that she never stopped enjoying wine during pregnancy, nor, and mother, I know you're not happy when I say that, smoking. Because in those days, the 60s in Burgundy, it's very easy going. You don't even have a baby cradle seat in the back of the car. The seat in the back of my mother's car was a case of wine. I have pictures with a little extenders, and she wrapped it to be safe. Those were the days. So I was really born, Thaddeus, in a world where you tried wine as a child, not with water because you pollute the wine, but a little bit of wine.
Okay.
And we were in the countryside, so amazing mother, extremely inspirational, fabulous father, and unbelievable grandparents who were living next door. So, the urban style of family, specifically in those days, and in France, and in the countryside, we kind of all lived together. My grandparents were next door on the other side of the garden. I was with them all the time. So I was very fortunate to be educated by grandparents on both sides, on my mother's side, father's side, old school teachers, and parents who were incredible. So I was really well surrounded to drink a lot of wine and to eat well.
Okay, so as we digress just a little bit, so how did your parents or grandparents come to own the land that you guys grew up on?
Well, so my grandparents were school teachers in that village.
Okay.
In fact, in Gevrey-Chambertin. And my parents got married and they said, now we got to start something in life. And they started to buy a few barrels and resell wine.
Okay.
Bought a barrel, bottled it in the living room,
Really?
resold it on the back of their car. This is how they started.
Grassroots.
Grassroots, and it was in the 60s, 1961. My sister was born in 65, I was born in 69. So they started, my mother spoke languages, she received the guest. My father bottled the wine and went on the road to sell it. And it was really the beginning of our family story. They accumulated a little bit of a capital, then they bought a tiny vineyard and the house we live in today where I was born. And that's the family story. We started literally out of nothing in the living room.
That's a very interesting story.
So when you say the hood, this was really the hood. And the hood, luckily, was obviously Vougeot. This is where I was born, and it happens to be one of the most supreme village of fine wine in the history of wine. But I was really playing in the vineyards in Clos Vougeot grapes, Pinot Noir, which would be my favorite to drink today, and really making wine early. So I was really making wine, I need to tell you, since birth. I was helping topping barrels, I was helping bottling wine, I was helping making samples and corking the wines, labeling the wines. And I would say, Thaddeus, like you, because you had a lot of brothers and sisters.
Oh, yeah, I got a few.
You know, we do it all. You help your parents. It's a different era today.
Absolutely.
We had to do the job. You had to wash the dishes, wash the bottles of wine, and do the whole thing.
So did that become a passion of yours?
Totally.
Totally. That's the goal you wanted to set out.
Well, it was not even as structured and strategic as setting a goal. Wine was a natural thing. It's like, gardening. It's like pruning the roses. It's like doing all the tasks of the house. It was an automatism. I would have to go from school.
That was your chores.
A good chore, though, because I didn't see it as having to do it because I have to do it. My parents, to further answer your previous question, were very sharp with my sister and I in their education. They really always inspired us in a great and constructive way, so you would want to do it. It's not, you do this, if not, you don't have dinner.
Exactly.
They did it in a very organic way that made us really want to be part of this and part of winemaking, and in a good way. So you may say, give me an example. So we would top a barrel, and my mother would say, what does it do? And then we would taste the wine, and she would say, okay, the wine has finished its first fermentation, now it's going to do its second. Taste and tell me what you think. Taste and tell me what you feel. Or you cork a bottle, why do you cork it this way? And what does it mean? And isn't it fun to do? And we had a hand corking machine like you've seen at Raymond.
Of course, yeah.
And so always very inspirational, always in a way which I really recommend for any parents with children, always constrictively educational. They would always explain you why you're doing something and what's the benefit of doing it, and what and how does it impact the wine. That's why I got passionate about it very quickly.
So this is Thaddeus Bugs, Minority Wine Report, Wine in Black and White. We're talking to the man, Jean-Charles. I have a hard time sometimes
JC.
with Boisset. Is it Boisset? Well, Americans don't get into
Just come out of your shell,
with JCB. Okay.
What about if I pinch your stomach? He's so built. If you pinch your body,
that's my bodyguard right there, dude.
I know.
Okay. I coached him in football.
I know, but he's been drinking a lot of wine, so he's got to be. He cannot be bodyguard now.
I got a
He's
little
my
bit
pal.
of a posse rolling with me, and the guy from San Pablo, my boy San Pablo, right? Paulo. Brazil. But anyway, okay, what's your formal education like? Talk to me about it.
My formal?
Well, most Americans go from kindergarten to junior high to high school and maybe college.
I went from kindergarten to graduate school. And I wish I didn't do any of those.
All right, so you got all yours on the farm now.
My formal education, I work in a massage parlor for a long time.
Oh, God.
I was wearing the olive oil.
Hopefully you wasn't in the topping off, though.
No, I was actually working in the winery, punching down on the open top. That's why I have soft legs.
All right, Jean-Charles. I got you on that. Okay, so...
Education, I'm still looking for.
All right, so here's the next question.
Yes. Did you like how I dodged that?
I love how you dodged that.
What's the name
What was the first girl you ever kissed?
Ooh, Stephanie. It was a little late in my life. I was 11.
How old? You was 11.
Yeah, I started late. You know.
Was she your first girlfriend or?
Well, she was more than that. She actually showed me the way to how to use more than my lips.
At 11?
Well, some of us start early.
Damn.
When you're born in the countryside.
Where does she live? Down the road?
Yeah. Well, actually, up the road. I had to go up, luckily, that day. Then from there, it went down.
All right.
Hey, have a sip. Your mouth is getting dry.
No, I'm good. Okay, next question. And this might be kind of interesting because...
You came very prepared
because of how you've grown up. But at some point...
I'm still growing up,
to let you know. But at some point, at which point did you realize that you might be rich?
Well, it still hasn't happened.
No, don't start. I know some of the numbers, dude. Don't start with me on that, okay?
So,
I have a follow-up question to that, but answer that one first.
You're going to go on a digression again.
Yeah, we're going to digress again, dude.
So wealth is measured by the amount of friends you have.
No, Jean-Charles, no, that's not the question. The question is this. When did you first realize that you were rich?
When I talked to my bankers and I had a lot of debt.
And what year was that?
It was last week. And they told me you're going to pay with interest finally.
You're going to be difficult on that. Okay, but then my follow-up question to that.
Hey, you know, I'm rich in wine I have in my cellars, so you're all invited at some point.
I know, but in your mind, and I know you're a very generous person, very giving person, and you probably tried to answer this earlier, if someone's rich, what does that mean to you or them? What does it mean if you're rich? Does it have a meaning?
For me, wealth is in what you know and how many great moments you have with friends. And I really mean this. It's not a bank account. Who cares?
Of course.
You're not taking it with you. It's the great experience and the great energy and the great phenomenal times you have with others. Mm-hmm. I think true wealth is always to be with a person you want and always be having the luxury, for me, to create, build, and really bring people together for great, phenomenal moments. Like yesterday at the wine auction, 1,200 friends into one place, then dancing together and having a phenomenal time. I think this is true wealth of life. And wealth, I would add to this, is knowledge. You know, I believe what is so exciting in life is to have the privilege to be able to learn, the privilege to be able to be curious, to constantly want to know more than you did the day before, and to go to bed and say, what a phenomenal day. I've met those great people, I've had those incredible experiences, and finally, this is what I've learned. And this is really more than accumulating cars and whatever else. For me, the wealth is having a great cellar, so we could share it together like today. And I could say, you're drinking a little slowly, Thaddeus.
Well, you know, I got to get through this interview, then I'm going to start drinking really heavily. Okay?
Good, I look forward to this moment.
So were you into athletics growing up at all?
Always.
What type
Big time. So my sports, like any kids in Brazil, as we have some friends from Brazil today, to any friends in Italy or Spain or Africa, is to play ball. Meaning, not American football, what we call football soccer. Okay. So I was very, very fortunate that, you know, outside we had a soccer field in the village. So we had a blast. So my life was really soccer, and I played up to the age of 17. I was actually in the national team of that sport, so I went high into this amazing sport, and I was center forward. Okay. So my goal was to score goals, and I loved it. And I still do, because to this day, I'm involved with soccer in a minor way. I love to play it, but my daughters, the twins that you've met.
Twins, yes.
Well, one set of twins, but they're two girls. Yeah,
I understand that.
I know after a glass of JCB 69,
no, I meant that
you lose the sense of proportion.
Yeah, two twins.
Well, maybe
one twin of two.
Oh, that's right. Or maybe two twins of one.
Okay, we're good.
Maybe you know something I don't know. You were hanging out with my wife yesterday.
No, I know.
Maybe she's pregnant with
God, that would be a treat, wouldn't it?
Hey, I gotta tell you,
I would become rich, right?
Well, or even poor. The more kids you have, the poorer you get.
I know. Okay. Okay, so let's. Okay, so
he's trying. He won't get me.
I'm gonna get you sooner or later. Okay, so what's your fascination, or what was it? Why did you want to come to America?
Well,
and when was your first trip to America?
My fascination of the United States was all the way back from my grandparents. At the age of 4 or 5, hearing the resistance, the Second World War.
What now?
The resistance, the Second World War, how they team up with American forces on the beaches of Normandy to help them to save us. So one, I've always heard the word America in a very positive, in a very freedom way. Then, very fortunately at school in France, America is taught very well, in a very positive way, as it should.
Was English also taught in the school? Okay.
But a little later, first you learn American history, you learn all the big philosophies of America, democracy, liberty, freedom, civil rights, you know, this amazing nation that is an inspiration to the world, diversity, unity, all the things that we love about the United States. So I learned about America very early. I fell in love with it, literally fell in love with America. And I got to come to the US thanks to my grandparents, Thaddeus, who saved money, and then my parents, took my sister and I to the US on a trip to visit the mission, like the cross you have on your chest. We did the mission of Monterey to Sonoma, fell in love with the US, and not just the landscape.
And what was your ages at this point?
I was 10 and a half.
Okay.
And I fell in love with the people.
Okay.
You know, the landscape is beautiful, but many landscapes in the world are beautiful. The people had a smile like yours, very Hollywood smile, very friendly, very welcoming, extremely delightful. I mean, my grandparents did not speak English. People were going out of the way to show us the way. People were so fabulous that we came back, my sister and I, and said, wow, this is the place we want to be. And to this day, it's a few years later, I'm only 22, dear friends, so,
I got you.
You know, I'm still having goosebumps telling that story because I felt magnetically attracted to the US. And my goal at that time was to say, I want to be back, and I want to live in the US, I want to do things here, this is the country of my choice. I love France, and I love Europe, but when you feel and touch the taste of America, you never want to go anywhere else. This is the best place on the planet.
Really? I feel the same way. Anytime I travel, I'm looking forward to coming back to America.
Sure.
But you're a Frenchman.
Yes.
Why is the French language so difficult?
Oh, tell me. I barely speak it. I pretend I'm French. I have a little bit of an accent.
Where are we going to Chardonnay, you think? No, but you still got to answer that question.
Well, it's difficult because we've been doing it for 20 centuries, and it's never easy. But we still make it easier than Shakespeare.
Okay. All right, so the first wine, tell us a little bit about the champagne that we had initially.
Yeah, so it's number 69. Ooh la la. Whichever way you look at it, it feels good.
Pablo, no?
Yes, please.
Pablo needs a little bubble.
Yes, thanks.
We all need bubble. So this is the best fermented grape on the planet. This happens to be Burgundy Pinot Noir. So it's a red grape. But you got to realize red skin with a white juice.
Yes.
In order to get the rosé color is the co-fermentation of the skin with the juice, which makes it very interesting. This is why the best rosé on the planet often are Pinot. This is why Champagne rosé, the highest profile, is basically the commingling of love-making between the skin and the juice for 24 hours, 48, 96, depending on how deep and rosé you want to be. I want to be rosé for 48 hours. This is the co-fermentation.
Okay.
It starts to get a little pink thanks to the color of the skin.
Yeah.
And then we let it ferment for 18 months in the bottle.
Yes.
And then you get this flamboyant, vibrant, and Thaddeus sensual wine, which is 69.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question.
69.
JCB, I have a follow-up question to that. And you might have answered this earlier, but I don't know if you
Are you
answered it.
digressing again?
Yeah, I'm gonna digress a little bit. When was the first time you made love?
I was 11. I told you.
You didn't give any details on it.
Well, here we go. I actually don't know what I did because it was a total shock. But I can tell you the explosion was a good one. It was explosive.
Cheers. Okay.
I like that question better than well.
So when I say to you,
Yeah,
1976, what do you think?
I think of the driest vintage of all time. I think of the ecosystem.
Okay.
I could think of your date of birth because it was probably 1976.
What else happened in 76 between France and the U.S.?
1776 or 1976?
1976.
Huh. That's a great question. I want to believe the American beat the French at the Judgment of Paris.
They kicked their ass, dude. Chardonnay and Cab.
That's why.
Tell me how that happened. And how did that influence you going forward in your winemaking journey, maybe?
One, I was overjoyed to hear that the Judgment of Paris happened. Basically, dear friends, competition between the French and the American. You know, white wine against white wine of the U.S., red wine against red wine from France. Blind, you don't see the label. The American beat to death the French. I love it. The French came cocky, arrogant as always at the table. They thought they were going to win, and they left the table with their tail between their legs. Crooked, of course. That's what I meant. And they lost, so it was really...
Why? In your opinion?
Why? Because I feel the wine were young vintages, so French wine eventually needs more time to open up in the techniques we did. American wine were very fruity and flamboyant, a lot of depth, a lot of richness. Two Chardonnays actually, one Chardonnay from Napa, one Cabernet from Napa, beating a Bordeaux.
It was Montelena, I believe.
Montelena and
Chardonnay.
Stag's Leap Wine Cellars.
So I interviewed the guy from Stag's Leap Wine Cellars.
Yeah.
You know when he told me they planted the grapes that won in 1976?
Yeah.
He planted them 3 years earlier.
Here we go.
In 1973. And then
That's
they
amazing.
made the wine and it came out in one. That is amazing.
I think what is very important, the big lesson, to be serious, dear friends, for a second.
Okay.
The big takeaway is in life you never win. It's always, and every year, specifically when you make wine, questioning the last year. It's like a chef. He's as good as the last plate he brings because he could fail. And in France, we think we had acquired and owned and controlled the wine world. And suddenly we discovered that there was other possibilities elsewhere in what people have called the new world.
Yes.
And I think it's very positive, very constructive. It created a lot of excitement around the world. And it really created a new discovery of the US, like 1492, when we came on this continent and we say, this does exist. So I think it's always healthy to lose because you learn a lot when you lose something, whether it's in business, whether it's in sports, whether it's an intellectual game. You question yourself and you eventually progress. It's like when you fail in life. You know, hopefully you don't fail twice on the same thing. I fell twice many times on the same thing.
That's not good, though.
Well,
But
I've been trying
here you
to seduce the same woman many times at the bar, and she said no many times.
Okay, so in following up to that,
And this was not you, Gina, my love. You know, and I still need to seduce you every night. If not, there's no love.
what do you think is your biggest learning experience you've had? What have you learned most about some aspect of life?
Well,
that's helped you immensely.
What I've learned the most is every day what I still don't know.
Okay.
And my biggest lesson always is the fact that I'm constantly curious. And if a day passes by, I don't learn something, I'm actually disappointed with myself. So the fact that I constantly want to learn excites me. But the biggest lesson to me always is the fact that you don't know it all. And you should question at all time what you've done even the day before. On winemaking, on quality of things you do, on what you overall do. So I think as well the biggest lesson, another one I would be willing to share, is the fact that you sometimes think you've made the perfect wine. And it never exists. And many of the wines we're having got perfect scores. 100-point wines.
Yes.
You've tried the Surrealist, you've tried many of ours, but in fact we never deserve it because we're never perfect. I mean, Thaddeus is perfect.
No, I'm not.
But when you reach perfection, that's why I want to touch it. The closer I get to him.
You had very soft hands, by the way.
Did you feel that? Years of winemaking.
I'm sure.
I creamed myself to make sure I was soft.
Okay, but I don't think perfection exists, but it's good to strive for it. Is that a fair statement?
Very much so. And I'm actually very demanding as a person into everything I do, into the athletics, into whether it's sport, like you are. And I know you train American football, phenomenal athletes. You are yourself an incredible athlete. And you have a very, very high, discipline to yourself. And I love that in you. I'm the same. And I think it's very important to never think in life you arrived on anything. Because we never arrive.
No.
It's a constant reinvention, a constant search for not even perception or perfection, excellence.
So where does your energy come from? It's amazing.
Well, energy comes from you.
No, I understand that, but I think you have an innate energy that probably 99.9% of the people on this planet don't have.
Thank you. Well, I feel I get it from above and below. I get it from people.
Okay.
I get it because I catalyze energy and I channel energy.
Okay.
I'm very fortunate that I feel I receive it, and then I intentionally utilize it throughout the day to the things and to the intention, to the outcome I wish to relate to. And so I would take a person and I would bring energy to it. And I would focus on it as I am right now. And I'm thinking there's energy that I can take away, channel, orientate, and bring to light in a very unique way. So we are energy.
Yes.
You are energy. You have over 65% of water in your body.
Exactly.
You receive energy. Thaddeus, you have incredible energy in your eyes, in your presence, in your aura, in your allure, in your skeleton, in your frame,
yes,
in your voice.
Yes.
When I hear that voice, I feel energy. So you know what you have as well, which I take from you. I took it yesterday. I took it the day before. I took it in the room where I introduced you in the blending room.
Yes.
Nobody knew you. I felt your magnetism. And he has a very positive frequency. That's why you're all interested in Thaddeus, because he has a frequency that is extremely magnetic. So I get it from all. When I see it, I capture it.
I got you. Okay.
And I utilize that aura, very similar to the priest at the church. So I'm going to give you another example.
Okay.
It's a very important one, because you are 6'4", you have a large frame, you do this at the church, and I know you do it. And if you look at the entrance of the church and the oculus on top of the church, you bring the sunlight. You open your hands, and as many Renaissance painting on religion, you attract the sun in the center of your hand. You've seen those paintings where the sun comes in the church on each side. So you bring the light and you reflect it to the disciples and the people in the church. you bring energy from above and inspiration to all others. And I feel the moment we realize that we are pure energy, that we are an element of physics in this world that is atomic, and we all atoms that are willing to express themselves, we can create anything we want.
How many hours of sleep do you
Too many.
require? No,
Too
a
many.
night- a night-
I want to find not the blue
How
pill,
many hours do you?
although it's a good one. I want to
But how
find the
many-
pill that allows us
how
to.
many- But how many hours does your body require of sleep?
I believe
Your body,
maximum of 5, but I wake up a lot throughout the night.
because your mind's very busy.
Well, because my mind, I'm not sure but it's always engaged.
Okay, that's fine.
And I love it because the moment I get up, if it's not to go to the usual bathroom, which I never do, of course, but is to actually write notes of what I've been thinking. And I confess, I have.
But you have to do that. I think it's important.
Because often you forget
You
it.
forget it. A really good thought will pop in your mind,
Yes.
and you need to write it down because you might wake up and say, "Damn, what was that?" That happened to me as I was preparing to interview you a few times. So I'm like, "Shit, I missed that one," but it came back to me eventually. Though.
I take a lot of notes, Thaddeus, all the time. So you would come to my car, you see books of notes, checklists, ideas. I'm a very traditional kind of person. I don't even use notes on my phone. I like, as you do, the pen and pencil. I like the white page. I take notes of what I want to do, take notes of ideas. And I really categorize my mind like a place you know well, which is the Pentagon. Why do I use a pentagon? It's the divine proportion. It's a golden ratio. It's 1 on 1.167. You bring an idea in the pentagon, which I divide into 5 naturally. Spirits, energy, action, operation, and thoughts.
Okay.
So all my ideas are categorized into families. So I may have an idea on operation. I need to do this better, or that's the idea for the business. I write it in that category. Then I have an idea on spiritual ideas. I have an idea on others. So often my notes are divided into 5.
Wow, that's interesting.
Very much so.
How many employees do you have? You know that?
1,600
You have
Full-time.
1,600 full-time employees
worldwide, yes.
worldwide. Wow. How do you manage them?
I don't. They manage
They
me.
manage. I know.
Thank God.
I know this lady right here is
Sarah Brewer, a big star.
a big star.
And look at her beautiful hair.
Yeah,
When you have hair like this,
I know.
you must be a star.
Exactly. Okay, so do you have any type of vice that you would like to give up that's not good?
Oh, so many.
What's the number one?
Excess.
Excess?
Excess.
Elaborate.
I love to be excessive in anything I do.
Yeah, I know.
From sports to out to energy to anything I like to do with an extreme.
Okay.
And I'm extremely intense, sometimes too much. And
You like to win.
well, not just to win. I like to go far and deep into what I do. And I think sometimes I could be too intense in this. And I must tell you, I could be stubborn. It's a vice. I could go, a vice, I don't know if it's a vice. There's a great song from Ava Max as a singer that you sometimes feel very different and you feel perceived differently. You feel people are looking at you in a way that, oh, he's not normal, or he's strange, or he's this, or he's French, or he's this and that. So sometimes I could consider it as a vice because I'm outside of the norm. I sometimes feel I don't belong.
Why?
Because I think often differently. And I share that with Salvatore Dali as an example as a surrealist, or Magritte as a painter, is sometimes I see something and I explain something and I lose people because I'm on this tangent and maybe I've lost them. So sometimes I feel I look at something in a very different way than others.
No shit.
And maybe
You do.
that's a little weird.
So let's go to the red room.
That's right.
As you guys walked into the red room, you got these mannequins and really extravagant. Is that something that's out of your mind? I mean, you thought all this up and said, I want this lady
and
there.
There's more to come.
There's more to come.
For sure. And I position there.
Yeah.
I dress them up. I love theater.
Seriously?
I love theater.
Okay.
I love cabaret.
Mm-hmm.
I love the Moulin Rouge, the Crazy Horse, Paradis Latin, all those great shows.
Yes.
We need to have.
We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this afterwards.
This is so good.
Yeah, it is very good. I want these guys to have some too. We're going to talk about Premier Cru Chardonnay. Pablo, you've been waiting for some really.
Mon main, this is the hell of a wine. Thank you. This is sex in your glass.
I'm going to give you a small rinse. You can drink that,
Transcendental.
and then I'll give you a little bit more so it's not rosé, okay? You can drink, swirl around and then drink.
It's going to make
that
your
when I
body
give you some more.
shake of excitement. And when you feel your knees getting closer together, that's the beginning of ultimate pleasure. Drink the end here.
Yeah, you got to drink.
Okay.
Don't be shy.
The end is most times the best part. Come on, Dylan.
Don't be shy,
I'm gonna give you a
Dylan.
little rinse, Dylan.
So that's the fun of things in general, is really to be allowing Dylan have more. You've rinsed. You're gonna taste it. So we tasting a Chablis. You know what I love about this? What do you love about this wine?
You know what? And this is 2018. I remember being on a trip that you sponsored in 2018. That was a beautiful trip with your people, and you have a great team with Neil and all those guys over there, man. It was really cool. But we was in Chablis, and 18s are so special.
Yeah.
Not American, right? It's got a lot of acidity, really good green apple type fruit in it. I think it's amazing wines. I think the 18s over there are really
Made by a woman, Lucy Dupuis, who you've met.
And I want to get into that at some point, but go ahead and talk about this.
Well, it's a very unique soil, dear friends, and as you kindly said,
What's the name of this?
Kemergen.
Yeah, Kemergen.
Kemergen soil,
Yeah,
so
yes.
it's oyster beds.
Yes.
Layers over 60 million years of age. There's no soil on the planet like this one, which gives that unbelievable, phenomenal flavor profile of flintiness, minerality. You have the feeling you're actually having an oyster with incredible seafood, and you're tasting the stones, the rocks of the ocean. And I'm in love with this wine because it's purity, it's minerality, it's elegance, it's finesse. It's something you want to have.
Did you buy this winery too?
1814. We did. Yeah, I love this wine. I love this. And we just bought last week, 2 weeks ago when I was there, a beautiful home in the town of Chablis that we're going to totally renovate.
And you're going to make it like a B&B or Air?
No, just a place for you to hang out.
I love that.
We're thinking of you at all times.
I love Chablis, man. Oh, I have a story about Chablis real quick.
Well, tell us.
I met old man William Febb a little bit before he died, a couple years before he died. So we're at Chablis, getting ready to do a tasting. Old man Febb drives up in his car. He has his coat is hanging out of the side of the door. So he gets out of the car, and I said, Mr. Febb, hurry. He runs into the house as fast as he could. He thought I was a black guy that was trying to jack him or something, dude. I'm serious. He never came back out either, dude. I just wanted to pay my respects to him because I've been drinking this wine for so long.
Well, you drink more now.
Yeah.
We are a lot more friendly.
We don't have to worry about it. That was really funny, dude. I was like, damn, dude, I'm not going to jack you right now. And I was an FBI agent then, too, so come on.
For the story, he never lived anymore. He actually died.
He died like a year or two later. No, he didn't. I had nothing to do with that, by the way. Okay.
That's when he was working for the FBI, and they tried to replicate Chablis in Washington, D.C. It didn't work.
It didn't work. All right, JCB, what's the best advice someone's ever gave you?
Not to follow any of
Not to take any advice.
That's right. Well, the best one, I think, is to be yourself.
Yes.
You know, I believe in life, we all born with a very special purpose, as yours is. From being an amazing FBI agent to now moving into the world of wine. and having the great influence, the great second life.
Yes.
Third, you were an athlete, then FBI, then this.
Yes.
Unbelievable path. You are third to many other lives you've had. You follow your passion, you follow who you are, and you allow yourself to be who you are. And you are who you are.
Yes.
And that's why we love you.
Yes.
And maybe you were very different 20 years ago, but you discovered who you are. And the best advice I received always was that, and the best advice I would give to everyone is to be yourself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, we each have a purpose. We each have a meaning to be on this planet for the reasons that we're given the opportunity to be here. So we got to be who we got to be, and we got to be ourselves.
Exactly.
And I think it's so exciting. I was a few hours ago with an amazing sculptor. He's a colorblind sculptor, one of the best in the United States, who did the most amazing racial sculptures of all time, the one in Virginia, the one in DC. His name is Mario Chiodo. He's here. He does all the big sculptures in the United States. He did from Martin Luther King. He's doing right now the Dalai Lama and others. And I was on a show with him this afternoon, and he became a sculptor at the age of 5. When he started sculpting clay, and he was ambidextrous and beautiful symmetry, did the human body in a perfection.
Wow.
When he turned out to 9, 10, or 11 years old. He was on our JCB Live just after you. And amazing. So his life was a purpose.
Yes.
Your life is a purpose. And with the Minority Report and what you're doing to all of us and lighting us as you are, you're doing it with a purpose.
Cheers.
And your glass is
we're
empty.
We're going to the red wine, 1881. That reminds me, wasn't there a TV show on TV that followed up after the Kevin Costner show, Yellowstone? Wasn't it called 1881? 1883 is close then, okay. So anyway.
Well, we were born, you and I, in 1881, you remember?
I think we might have been back then, absolutely. Cheers. Everybody, dude, I think that you probably have been here before.
For sure.
And you've learned some lessons, and you came back a better person after learning.
Well, better or worse. I think there's a lot of improvement in your
with
friends.
a lot more money, I think, than back then. Okay.
Well, I'm not sure. I think I was actually a lot more wealthy intellectually in the 15th century. I believe I was born in 1480. Why?
Why?
During the Italian Renaissance. I think
Okay.
I was maybe Cosimo or part of his group as the Medici. I really believe I was born in the French Renaissance, Italian-French Renaissance, then reborn in the 17th century, and then really evolved in the 18th, finished in the 19th, and then was reborn in 1969.
Wonderful.
6 lives before this one.
6 lives before this one, okay.
And I'm clearly doing it as a painting right now, as the Last Supper painting. And what I'm doing is who I was before and who I will be tomorrow. I'm doing that with Stanislas Koska, our great friends who did the Last Supper painting you've seen.
So another question, what's your fascination with crystal?
Crystal is energy. So natural crystal was my first fascination.
Okay.
So I dynamized crystals. I bury crystals in the soil.
You did what?
Dynamize. So you give energy to crystal.
You just smash it.
No, with a pendulum.
Oh, okay.
So this is man-made crystal. I believe in natural crystal as well, that you find in Brazil. Best country for that.
I will give you a Brazilian one for you. Yes, serious.
That's right.
Yes, in Brazil you can have.
Did you see it yesterday in the crystal cellar?
Yes.
The big one on the bar?
Yes.
From Brazil.
I will give you from Brazil.
I would love it.
Okay.
He'll do it too.
Obrigado, obrigado, obrigado. Because Brazilian crystals are the best. Colombians are very good as well. And many other nations are really fantastic. So I need to tell you, I'm very engaged with crystals. And I'm engaged with man-made crystals like we have here at the Oakville Grocery, in the tasting room.
Is that because of the amount of heat it takes to maybe
That's
make
right.
it?
And energy and
Okay.
magnetism. Listen to this.
Oh, go ahead.
Let's do it
You're
together.
Better. He's better. Look at that sound. Amazing.
There's 3 rings in this glass.
I felt it when
Vibration.
Yeah, the vibration. Yes.
Insane.
Insane. Yeah. These are only like $400 a glass. Or something.
Well, for 2.
Okay.
200
So
per glass.
we're gonna probably be wrapping this up shortly. So I have a message from
You can hear the energy in the room.
I have a message from one of your employees.
Uh-huh.
And how generous you are.
Oh, thank you.
The man. He was very thankful that he was diagnosed with cancer.
Yep.
And he had a hard time maybe paying his insurance deductible. Mm-hmm. He was very gracious and put money into his account.
Absolutely.
And he's forever thankful for
Well,
you.
thank you for saying that.
Yes, very much so.
Well, you know, we're very fortunate to be an amazing collective family of great people on this earth. Mm-hmm. And what we just did at the wine auction, what we're doing ourselves over 16 times a year, is amazing auction to help others. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, it could be cancer, it could be art, it could be food, it could be homeless, it could be any causes. We have 6 pillars that we really follow that are very important. And if we're here to help each other. Mm-hmm. We're not here to have an independent, selfish life. Yes. How boring would it be? If I was alone, not to be able to share a glass with you, what's the point of drinking alone?
Exactly.
I don't do this. I cannot do this. It's boring.
Yeah.
Me and myself, ooh la la. I mean, look at the fun time we have.
All right,
47 minutes of pleasure.
Talk to us about this real quick before we.
Well, I think we need to taste it again.
Oh, that's perfect. Did you guys get some yet? No?
Dear friends, this is a glass that is all about caramel, vanilla, chocolate, incredible spices, all on the gamut of beautiful, great spice, from jalapeno to pepper, great intensity. This is leather, this is velour, this is rich and intense. This is Cabernet Napa Valley from here, Oakville, made on American oak. And that's the cool part, is fully American oak made, so it's an all American wine.
So you chose American oak over French just for the history of it?
Yes, and to bring a very big intensity to it.
Okay.
All that licorice flavor profile that you have. Okay. I love the intensity, the richness, the straightforwardness of this wine. I think for a $45 bottle of wine, this is pleasure.
I think it's fantastic for $45. Absolutely.
And we're going to have burgers now. We're going to have pizza. We're going to have all kind. You have that with short ribs.
Oh, short ribs.
Beef
perfect.
cheeks.
Yeah,
oh, kiss me all day.
Okay, so we're at Oakville Groceries. Why did you decide to buy Oakville?
The oldest continuous operated store.
You just came in and wrote a check or what?
Oh, I did. Of the money I didn't have. Remember?
Of the money he didn't have.
I called my bank. Are you in? We have good bankers. What happened? Why? You know, I love everything American. Okay. I got to tell you, I'm more in love with America than most Americans.
Do you have a dual passport?
No. They wouldn't want me yet.
No,
the application is in. Say yes.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. You were saying.
Well, I'm in love with America, and that's why Buena Vista, oldest winery in California. Yes. That's why the Depot, 1868. That's why the Loach, the first to plant Pinot in 1969. That's why, obviously, the Oakville Grocery, 1881. This is why the Ink House, 1885. This is why Secret Indulgence, 1874. I mean, we love everything historical American. First store, Oakville Wine Merchant, on the West Coast in 1881.
Okay, how many wineries do you own?
I
give me a number. Give me a number. Okay, how many do you own in France?
Well, altogether, I think it's 35.
Oh,
yes. But some are very small.
So anyway, I have a gift for you. We're going to close it out. You gave me cufflinks. I'm giving you FBI cufflinks.
Are you serious? Wow.
Hanging with JCB live.
We're going to get closer. Look at this. Look at this. I'm very honored. Thaddeus, this is a great honor. I need to tell you why. One, I'm going to wear them at all time.
Okay.
Two, I'm in love with the U.S. The one I was missing was the FBI. I have the White House. You know, I was offered by a few friends from there.
Yes.
And Fred Ryan gave me as well. a great cuffings from the White House. I never had the one from the FBI. I need to tell you, and I know there's always a conflict, but I'm hugely admirers of the FBI, the CIA, and the amazing American organization that are keeping the world informed and safe. And when we say, oh, the FBI, the CIA, they're the best organization there is.
The best there is.
And look at the people coming out of it. And you don't have to be Pentagon to come out of it this way, or CIA, or any shape or form. Your mind can be free. You can think on your own, but you have the discipline, you have the rigorousness, you have the process of your mind to be who you are. So,
well, I thank you very much.
I'm very, very touched. So in exchange,
God,
exchange,
come on, man.
he liked
I liked your one from the other day that I knocked off of you by mistake. So I'm gonna get that one repaired also.
No, I'm going to send it to you, but this one, I'm going to give you two. Dear friends, I'm taking the secret.
Right. So
Look at this piece.
Oh, God.
This is a one and only. This was the prototype, so you're getting my one and only.
I appreciate that.
The skull, which means with a crown, that we've lived before, we're living today, and we're going to live again tomorrow. We have multiple lives, and this is all the principle of what I believe on is reincarnation. So, dear friends, I'm going to give it to Thaddeus here.
So we're going to close this out after this, but this is all about the man. Hopefully soon we're going to talk about the myth. What do you think that's going to be like?
Well,
There's
I will never
some
die.
stories that's going to need to be told. You're not going to be able to zip it up then, dude.
Well, I hope so. And one day we'll talk about the mystery.
Yeah, we
So
will.
the 3 M's.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
And Thaddeus, can I say one more thing?
One more thing.
I commend you immensely for the Mannery Report and all what you do in the wine world to bring the world of wine to so many friends you have.
Exactly.
You're a blessing to the
Cheers.
grapes. Let's squeeze it together.
Really good juice.